once upon a time, I know this seems impossible, kids, but you could go to a university and it was a breeding ground for ideas and debates. And after you slug it out verbally, you'd go to the campus pub and raise a pint. Oh, not anymore. If you have anything that triggers a certain community, and I'm talking about the transgender community here, Sheila, because suddenly transgender people are self-identifying as violent thugs, whether it's in universities or at libraries hosting drag queen spectacles. They let their fists do the talking, especially if they're males pretending to be females. Well, Riley was basically held hostage, confined. She was physically assaulted. And the university is calling this a peaceful protest. There is no apology, even though San Francisco police had to be called to get her safely off campus. Sheila, this is despicable.
Let's watch this crazy video.
Okay.
Yeah, you fucking transphobic bitch. I fucking see you. Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights.
And you know, Sheila, on the theme of once upon a time we had insane asylums, and then we decided we were going to close those down. And as long as people took their meds, there'd be no problem. That's a big if, of course. But these people you see there screaming hysterically, in yesterdecade, they were confined for our safety and theirs. Now they're setting the agenda for whatever the current flavor of human rights is right now, Sheila. Did that look peaceful at all to you? And in fact, I would suggest if the police never showed up, we might be talking about Riley Gaines in the past tense.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say about this. Again, because as people at home know, I have a high performance female athlete in my house who just got back from Florida, one of those states where she doesn't have to play against boys who want to hit women for fun. But you know, it's like last week when we watched that press conference with the warlocks of transgenderism. And I believe what I said was, what in the sweet Hogwarts hell are we watching here? And because these people are the worst self-fulfilling prophecy of themselves. When in my heart, I'm like, there's Satan's behind all of this. And then they show up looking like Satan's behind all of this. And then with this stuff, where in my head and my little tiny conspiracy theories that kick around in my head, I'm like, this is just a way for misogynists to justify hitting and being violent to women and controlling women and intimidating women. And then they show up and get violent and intimidate women to bend them to their will. These are the same people who say disagreeing with them is genocide. And yet they will get handsy and violent with somebody like Riley, whose only real crime is saying, I want to compete against people on a level playing field, because I'm old enough to remember when testosterone was a performance enhancing drug, like 15 minutes ago. But I think a lot of this is really, as you point out, David, shrouded in women hate. Like 50 years ago, a lot of these people would be just getting drunk on the couch and beating up their wives for not listening to them. But now they get to dress as women and then intimidate women to control women. By the way, Riley Gaines is a high-performance female athlete, peak of her sport, peak physical specimen. She could have tied those mouthy trans activists in a knot. She didn't touch them. She behaved herself. It is the other side at all times that is violent. but that's why they change the meanings of words, right? That's why they say words are violence. Or they change the meaning of the word genocide to mean just holding a completely different worldview than you. It's so that it mitigates the real violence that they're doing against you. It puts it all in the same category.
You know, Sheila, you're so right. I think we're going to see that community change the word genocide into gendercide. And that's what's happening to biological females, at least in sports and in this crazy country, female penitentiaries, where you can have 310-pound Bruce with facial hair and his original wedding tackle and bulging with muscles, identifying.
Exactly. And a sex offense conviction.
Yeah, and which almost half of them tend to be sex offenders, saying, oh, no, I'm
Weird.
Bertha now. And you are allowed, the fox is allowed to spend his time in the chicken coop. What could possibly go wrong? And again, you speak out against this. You're a transphobe. You know, Sheila, these people make up not even a scintilla of a percent of the world's population. And we are bending the knee to them every day. And it's got to end. I am absolutely convinced, like I said earlier, once upon a time, these were people you would incarcerate in a mental institution right next to the guy saying, I'm Napoleon Bonaparte. And instead, we're allowing them to set the agenda. It's the ultimate example of the tail wagging the dog. And no apology given to Miss Gaines. The spokes thingy at the university saying that, it was a peaceful protest. It reminds me of the summer of 2020 at the Black Lives Matter rallies.
Mostly peaceful arsons.
The reporter is literally ducking as a Molotov cocktail goes by. Well, it's a mostly peaceful protest. You see raging bonfires in the background. But I now have the answer to my question, Sheila. You recall, I always... My dream, my fantasy for the women's NCAA swim season last year was that all those real biological women competing against Liar Thomas, I would have just loved to have seen the starter gun go. He dives into the pool. The other 9 walk back to the dressing room. What an incredible protest. But you know what? Now I know why it didn't happen. Those women would be vilified. They might even be physically assaulted by all the trans activists on campus. So they've got to play along with this. You know, it really is, Sheila, like, the emperor's new clothes, isn't it? The whole village plays along with the fact, oh, what a beautiful robe. And it's only one little boy who is, I guess, unsullied, has the you-know-what to say, hey, the king is naked. He was the whistleblower back then. Today, the whistleblower is probably sent in front of a human rights tribunal to get him to think like the other woke madness crowd members. I am sick of this, and I'm waiting for the pendulum to swing back, Sheila, because there's way more normal people than there are mentally ill people.
Yeah. You and I talked about this couple weeks ago, that a lot of those swimmers who are swimming against Liar Thomas are swimming on scholarships. And so their entire future is held hostage by Liar Thomas. They cannot walk away from the podium because they lose everything. And so that's the horrible predicament that these poor women are manipulated into after a lifetime of training and self-sacrifice and discipline to be where they are, so that some mediocre man can come up and say, no, I've been a lady for 15 minutes and I'm already better at it than you are. Like Dylan Mulvaney, his 365 days a girl. I'm like, it's the worst. But I think scenes like this, keep it up, lunatics, because you're overplaying your hand. Yeah. And I hope that you do. A few more scenes like this, and normal people who are just saying, I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't have a daughter that plays sports. I don't have any kids in school. So I don't really care. Leave me alone. This is where it becomes they're not leaving you alone, and that they are not going to leave anything alone. And all the systems of our culture are going to be torn apart by these people and their bad behavior. It's gone from live and let live to affirm everything I do at all times and forget reality. I'm firmly in the camp of leave our sports alone and don't trans the kids. And you won't hear from me ever again. But they won't leave me alone. And I think a lot of people are realizing that. We have the video of Riley Gaines basically being kidnapped by a trans mob at a university. Why don't we show that?
Wait a minute, not your Riley.
No, not my Riley. Riley Gaines. They'll never take my Riley alive.
What we're hoping to do is to keep things peaceful and
make her lose her flight
and move forward. Okay.
Tell her to pay us. Tell her to pay us, and then she could go. $10 each. Because she might get paid for this shit, so we could get paid for it too.
On a public campus that we attend.
So what's the end goal here? We're cooperating, so what's next?
So they need to do their job and get her out there. We created a path. It's here.
I can't speak to all of you when we're over talking to each other. We're not going to hear each other.
Don't let her hold.
Then no, you don't have to use. There's a difference.
So what we want to do is maintain what we're doing right now, and as the speaker sits, we can continue our conversations. And
Sheila, I'm going to appeal to our audience, and my appeal is this: prove us wrong. Prove why you think that, with the exception of equestrian and auto racing, that female and male sports
shooting
and sports shooting, good point, should be in separate divisions. Because, of course, with sports shooting and auto racing and equestrian, it's the horse, the car, and the gun. That is the equalizer. So gender doesn't matter. Please explain to us why you think that a male pretending to be a female and has all those inherent biological advantages, why they should be allowed to compete with biological females. If you can make that case, if you can somehow convince me, I'll bend the knee and say I've got it all wrong. But I don't see any argument here, Sheila.
No, me neither. That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.